And we're live. Welcome back to the Loopcast. Today, joined by Erika and Josh. Hope you're all having a great day. And it snowed. Not before we get into stories. I got a little bit of a blizzard in Indianapolis
Aw,
yesterday.
I'm
Are you
jealous.
serious?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You got snow
I did, yeah.
in Indianapolis.
Mhm.
There hasn't been a flake of snow in Petoskey. I want my money back. I want a recount on this. This is outrageous. Where's my snow?
Yeah, I'm getting tons of people in the chat saying, "Oh, we got all kinds of snow." Except the guy from
Mhm.
South Florida said woke up to 53 degrees. Thankful they'll be in
That snow that hit
70s.
you hit, was it Cleveland too? That
Oh,
snow
man.
game last night was
the best.
beautiful, baby.
That's America right
That
there.
is good football. Pittsburgh,
I love
Cleveland,
football in the snow.
two blue-collar teams just going at each other.
That's
love it.
America. That's
It
America.
is.
Did you? And then Erika, you sent me throwback to the Snow Bowl.
Oh, throwback Friday here. The Snow Bowl. This is the greatest snow game of all time. 2001 AFC Championships. The New England Patriots. Adam Vinatieri. So before the last field goal kick, the Patriots teammates
It
were
was
like
a good
clearing snow for him. That was a
Wow.
great. That was the heyday of the Patriots. They were just coming into their own, and there goes
Look at
Adam in
this
the
pick.
snow. Isn't that great? Yeah.
This is America. Oh
It
man,
is.
the Raiders had to go all the way out there
Yeah,
too. Tough.
It was the Raiders, and so they were like out of their element. Let's just put it that way.
That is
Yeah.
the greatest snow game in our lifetimes. I will
Yeah.
concede that point only. It's not the greatest.
Bill Belichick covered in snow. Little
The
snowman there.
iconic Ice Bowl, 1967 championship
Mm.
game between the Packers, who I hate, and the Cowboys. That at Lambeau, at the frozen tundra Lambeau Field. It's the game that made Lambeau Field iconic in so many people's
man.
minds. So it's
Yeah.
Good times.
that one game echoes through the ages.
I'm gonna be honest. So it was snowing yesterday, and I know we just had that conversation about when it's appropriate to listen to Christmas music. I popped it
Oh
on.
no.
I'm not gonna lie. I popped it on.
I'm disappointed in you.
Thanksgiving's chill and all.
What did I say?
It was I'm not exaggerating. My day yesterday is potential best day ever territory. My son wakes up, there's snow on the ground. He's 2. Best day ever, right? Snow.
Yeah.
Instantly get him out in some snow pants. I go to work. I'm sitting in the windows, snow falling the whole day.
Aw.
I get out, snow falling on my way home, listen to a little Christmas tunes, little Teddy Swims Christmas album, as I said.
You know something?
And then, Josh, how do we top it off? Hot chocolate. My wife made hot chocolate.
Ooh, that's
Maybe
a little
best day ever.
preview. That's a little teaser there.
Perfecto. Here's the thing. You get some of the traditional Catholics like, you should listen to Christmas music on December 26th, 27th, 28th. That's when you should listen to it. And then other people are like, I want to listen to Christmas music now. And my answer is both.
Yeah. He's
Whole
a JPC
season.
guy.
I love
Both
it.
and.
I got in
Very
this
good.
debate when I was in college, big time. And I would tell people like, look, I think it's absolutely magnificent. Is there too much schmaltziness, a little too much commercialization? I'm not going to say that. I mean, sure, but Arbor Day. No one gives a crap about Arbor Day. It's there and it's gone. Christmas is a big deal to this entire country. That is a blessing, and it's an opportunity for evangelization, absolutely. And it's just a joyful time. Otherwise, it's winter and it's cold. It's kind of blah. And unless you do skiing or snowshoeing, you got like months of kind of dealing with this weather. But Christmas, celebrating the Lord and Savior of our Jesus Christ, and getting everyone else involved in it, like, it's awesome. I
don't know though.
Christmas season.
Yeah.
Oh, Erika, push back.
I was gonna push back. Like, I need to pace myself with the Christmas joy because it's a long winter, as you know, Petoskey. It's
True.
it gets long towards like February, March. So I just feel like I need to pace myself and my family. And if I can do like a little pre-Christmas Advent lead up with some, there's always some good Advent snow songs too. Yes, to you in the chat. And then my Christmas can go long, like all the way to the presentation. Then it's mid-February, and I can make it to
there's
April.
No pushback here. I agree with everything
you're both and. But I get sick of stuff. I don't know. I get tired of it.
Our family tradition here is, it's okay to start allowing the Christmas music to play after Thanksgiving, because I love Thanksgiving. I don't want to step on it. I love Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And I think it means a lot to our country.
Yeah, it doesn't really have a soundtrack though, does it?
And then after that, I love playing it. But we do a build-up at our house. So we don't, the tree never goes into the house until usually the first Sunday of Advent. and then we don't decorate it. We leave it there for a while, and then we decorate it with light on St. Lucy's feast day. Celebrating her. She's the patron saint of
That's really
illumination,
cool.
light, and viewing. So, and then as you get to Christmas, so you're building up to this moment. I had a friend of mine who's really funny. He had in his front yard, he had the three wise men, and and then he had the stable for Jesus, Mary, Joseph, Mary, and the stable up by his house, and then the three wise men were near the mailbox. And every few days he'd move it, a little bit closer.
That's awesome.
And of course, the major didn't have Jesus in it until December 25th, because of course you don't do it before. And he kept moving it a little bit every day. And the mailman came by and goes, I got to say, buddy, I don't think the wise men are going to make it there by the 25th. And he goes, they don't, you guys. They don't make it there till the Epiphany, 8 days later. And he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you evangelize. This is an opportunity. You got to keep building."
Guerrilla evangelization.
The only wrong answer is to do what my friend did and throw the Christmas tree out on December 26th. I'm like, blasphemy! What are you doing?
Oh, yeah,
This is
you can't be
horrible.
doing that.
You have to leave it up there till the liturgical feast of Super Bowl Sunday. That's when you take it down.
Okay, but before we go any further, Melody from the chat, Chow from Italy, sure colder than Alabama.
Chow.
Melody, are you, first off, Chow, respectfully, and then is it snowing in Italy? I want to know. That's a great question. But warm welcome to everyone in the chat. Thank you guys for piling in on this Friday. We have a lot to talk about today. Going to get to it all.
Oh, yeah, we got to tighten it up here.
Got to tighten it up.
Come on, guys.
But if you guys could just leave a like here on YouTube, that helps us out a ton, and subscribe if you can. I'd also like to give a very special thank you to a LOOPcast fan. Check out my new mug today. It's the University of Dallas.
What is the college
school.
nickname of the University of Dallas?
I'm not even sure. Maybe someone in the chat can help me out.
Crusader?
It looks like a Crusader, Dave's Volt. Very cool. I think they might be the Crusader.
Endorsed by Pete Hegseth. Okay.
I think of them when I think of Groundhog Day, because they have a big Groundhog Day celebration. So I think of the groundhog when I think of University of Dallas. But hey, at this point, we love our Newman schools. Shockingly,
University of Dallas is great. I mean,
1 second, Josh.
Hillsdale's younger brother.
1 second, Josh. Shockingly, have not been sent anything from Ave Maria University, my alma mater. Someone needs to get on that
Awkward.
ASAP. But I have one from, Crusaders. We got Crusaders. That's University of Dallas. I got one from Catholic University of America as well. Shout out to
that's my alma mater. It's the Cardinals.
The
Cardinals.
Shout out to Dr. Tracy Phillips, fan of the show, professor there. Appreciate you sending that out. And just, love our Newman Guide schools, and I take all mugs. And I'd love to put them up on my shelf.
I got swag from Benedictine College in Atchison, Kansas, phenomenal school. Mm-hmm. And I should wear it on the program one of these days, but literally my daughter stole it. She's like, "I love this." And I never get it back.
Not yours anymore.
Same.
How it goes with kids,
All right, so let's get to the show here. We have a lot. Today we're talking cabinet updates. So title of the episode, shocker, Matt Gaetz has dropped out from consideration for the Attorney General job. Quote, I believe from his tweet, "I did not want to be a distraction."
That's that's how he says it happened, but
yeah, it's a direct quote. What do you mean?
I know, but there's a conservative reporter, conservative-ish reporter, Mark Caputo, out of Florida, who's doing the whole rundown on the story. And what happened was Trump called him on the phone. It's like, "Yeah, dude, it's not happening."
Trump himself was like, "No." So here's my thoughts.
Five hard no's, and they weren't moving. And he called him and he said, "You're done."
Because he went to the Senate and talked to people on the Hill. Apparently, that's what he was saying he was doing.
Did. Yeah,
and he did.
Went with Vance. Yeah.
And here's 4D chess. Tom thinking, and Brian's a fan of this theory. He dropped out to get out of the House Ethics Committee thing.
Absolutely.
Which I don't think that's any surprise.
Dropped out of Congress to get out of that. Yes.
Now, even more 4D chess. I think that Trump himself probably knew this would not happen and just loved to throw a middle finger at all the people that were going to be upset about this, knowing it would never happen, provide cover for his other controversial picks. And now he's coming around with Pam Bondi, who, don't take my word for it.
Oh, boy.
MSNBC had.
Do you have that?
Oh, yeah.
I 100% agree with this theory, though, what you're saying. It's a way for Trump to appease the red meat of his base, make people happy, go with Gaetz. People are like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then also it's his classic art of the deal. You ask for something that's way too much and they're like, "No way." And then you then your counter offer, and then they have to say yes almost. So not that they have to, but they
But
lose a lot of trust.
MSNBC actually screamed even more. Do you want to roll that tape
Oh,
before we
yeah,
get
I'll
into who
roll
she
it.
is?
It's
This is great.
phenomenal.
This is great.
Pam Bondi is exactly what I was saying in the last segment that we should all fear because she's competent. We may not agree with her ideologically, but she actually knows how to do this job. So if anyone on the Democratic side or anyone who cared about liberty or justice was thinking, well, maybe Matt Gaetz will screw this up and that'll give us some time. No, Pam Bondi knows what she's doing. She knows what she's doing about immigration. Remember, Florida is one of those states that's been very aggressive about migrants and deportation and moving people to different states and everything else like that. Florida has enacted all sorts of rules and laws to curtail students and what they can do on campuses and finding legal justifications for manipulating education money. She is a dangerous and effective pick, and that's frankly worse than what we would have got with Matt Gaetz, even with the deplorable moral background that he has.
Yeah, and I want to discuss that with a little more depth with both of you, including her record on civil rights, LGBTQ rights, and other issues that are front and center at the DOJ. And
Oh boy. So,
Yeah.
Erika, who is
Yep.
Pam Bondi?
Yeah, Pam Bondi, another former Democrat. Remember the picture last week of like all the former Democrats around Trump? So she was a Democrat up until 2000 and then switched over. She was elected twice to serve as the Florida Attorney General. So she served there for almost a decade, 2011 to 2019. And she was, and this is why that guy was squawking so bad, she was crazy effective in Florida. She's a bulldog of a lady. So during her tenure, just to like tick off a few, dozens of major state and national initiatives, including the most comprehensive state litigation regarding the national opioid crisis. So she's very tough on the fentanyl stuff coming over the border. She's known nationally for her anti-human trafficking efforts, which seems civil rights to me, hashtag yes. Leading role in achieving the national mortgage settlement. She got $56 billion in total relief nationally. After the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, she settled with BT for $2 billion for Florida. I mean, this woman just keeps ticking it off. She's very effective, which is why the left is like, wait, we want Matt back because he would have been incompetent. But this woman, she's actually going to do stuff like probably put some of us in jail because we deserve it.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, they
tough cookie.
think Matt Gaetz would have been incompetent. I think Matt Gaetz could have still
Yeah.
accomplished things, but
Right.
I still think his scandals were an obvious distraction. But it's also the case where we really have to ask ourselves what we want when we're talking about cabinet secretaries. We're not talking about the president of the United States, where there's a different calculation here. You know, Donald Trump is kind of flamboyant, and I think it works for him. But when you're talking about someone who's in charge of a federal agency, I would prefer somebody who's not flamboyant, who's not going to intentionally throw red meat and totally energize the opposition. I want someone who's kind of calm, competent, and ruthless.
Yep.
That's what we got in Pam Bondi.
Just a savage. It reminded me a little bit of was it Ross Douthat? Who was the Tucker interview on the Office of Management and Budget?
Yeah, Ross Vogt.
Ross Vogt, yeah.
And
Great interview.
And
Similar
rumor
vibes.
I'm sorry. Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's not, Russ, he's not out there trying to, stoke controversy or whatever. He just puts his head down and kicks butt. And he did a great job as the acting director, first as deputy director of OMB. And it now looks like I haven't seen it.
I think he was. I think he has.
Yeah,
been.
was it? Yeah. So, I mean, he was just going to do a phenomenal job. And
yeah, he's back in the position he was in before. But even listening to that interview and him talk, he was even talking about what it meant to be a part of the cabinet for a president, specifically President Trump. And it's not your job to make judgment calls based on what you want or your own agenda. Russ, I felt like more than other people I've listened to, was like, I'm here to put myself in President Trump's shoes, listen to what he says, and ruthlessly execute on his vision for the country. It's not I'm being selected to represent him. I'm his representative in this specific role. And I think when people have that attitude, I think they're going to find a lot more success. Whereas before, you kind of had some of the picks being like, I don't know, I'm going to push back this and that. I'm going to kind of do my own thing. It's like, why are you here? It's like, you're here to run the agenda.
It's understanding your lane and what is the purpose of what you're doing. I mean, for example, obviously I'm a spokesman for Catholic Vote. I also have my own individual opinions, and I can air that out here on the podcast and be open with people. But like when I'm out there in the public, not that I've ever testified before Congress, but if I'm talking to media, I'm going to defend what Catholic Vote stands for. And there's like almost no delta, right? It's like 99.9%. But I
100%.
happen to be a super fan of capital punishment. Catholic vote is not in favor of capital punishment. That's where that's the difference. And I don't go out there and try to, press, like I have to do my job to be representative of what our organization stands for. And it's not like it's a crazy, thing. It's not like someone advocating, oh, let's give pornography to 6-year-olds. Like, that's an unacceptable difference,
Right.
That's what our Kamala Harris like. So,
Yep. Good times.
Okay. So good preview on that one. I think next story I have here, updates from DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency. One thing that
You mean
really
doggy?
No, I do not.
Not doggy. Okay.
Not
Doge.
doggy, no. So interesting thing coming out of DOGE really popped off the sheet to me is that we could potentially get some targeting of Planned Parenthood taxpayer funding.
Yes.
About dang time, if you ask me. But DOGE will help end federal overspending by taking aim at the $500 billion plus in annual federal expenditures that are unauthorized by Congress or being used in ways Congress never intended. The announced co-commissioners explained in their op-ed. This includes nearly $300 million to progressive groups like Planned Parenthood. So interesting coming from them, they're looking to cut these funds. Did you know who President Biden actually awarded a Presidential Medal of Freedom to? Catholic President Biden.
I do know.
Yeah.
Do you want to do it, Josh?
Cecile Richards, the woman with blood on her hands, the former director of Planned Parenthood. By the way, her mother was Ann Richards, the former governor of Texas.
Unbelievable.
Just a legacy of supporting baby killing. And again, this is one of those things where it's like, the mask is off. Like this whole charade in the 80s and 90s where Democrats would pay tribute to Catholic voters by saying, oh, I don't like abortion. It's regrettable. Let's make it safe, but legal and rare. That charade's over because the pro-abortionist side doesn't like to feel guilty about it. They want,
Right.
like, what is wrong with it? It's just like, I don't
Celebrate your
I don't have
abortion,
to apologize to go to the
right?
dentist
Shout
to
your
remove
abortion.
a tooth,
Yeah.
And so in a way, it's almost better that we live in a time where I just like living in the truth and like having an open discussion about these things. You guys think it's perfectly okay for a pregnant woman to kill her baby. Like that's what it is. Like, okay. I think that's barbaric. I think that's, horrific.
Well, let alone what
Yeah.
Planned Parenthood has mutated into too, in terms of their
Unbelievable.
support of all the gender surgeries and hormones and everything like that. It's really unconscionable. One thing I wanted to add too, before you get to that, Erika, they also talked about cutting public broadcasting money. So money going straight to NPR, which, oh my gosh, just
Bye-bye.
chef's kiss on that. What a
Yeah, it
communist-
might only be like 0.01% of the budget, but hey,
Doesn't
that
matter.
just has to go. It doesn't matter. It's a matter of principle. We should not
Totally.
be paying for that rag.
Go ahead, Erika.
Unbelievable.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was going to say too, and just this week, another story came out from Daniel Daleiden at the Center for Medical Progress, and he's exposing Planned Parenthood in Southern California. They have records, they have confirmed emails, they have testimony that they have been harvesting the hearts and the healthy organs, there he is, of healthy babies after quote unquote viability. So they're talking 23-week-old babies who are being delivered through induced labor for their mothers, delivered probably alive and intact, and then harvested for these organs for research. And they have doctors in there saying, yeah, we need 12. Well, you gave us 27. We need 12. Those are lives. Those are human babies who are being, and Daniel Daleiden, God love
Hero.
him. He just gets knocked down. He gets back up again. And he is a hero for truth here. And exposing this just underscores why DOGE should absolutely make it a priority to cut off everything from Planned Parenthood, everything going to Planned Parenthood from taxpayers.
It's worth remembering, though, when that scandal first broke, where he found, evidence, he got them dead to rights. that these
2015.
people- when they were selling baby
9
body
years
parts
ago.
for money.
Yeah, it's been 9 years.
And you think to yourself, there are some pro-lifers like, finally, like no one will be able to deny it now. Like these people are barbaric, it's insidious, it's demonic, it's evil, and maybe this will be we turn the corner and we finally embrace a culture of life and reject this evil barbarism. And it largely went
Yawn.
unnoticed.
Just yawn.
And
You know how close we
people
were?
first of all, the media didn't even tell it to people, and then we would tell it to other people, like, "Hey, by the way, this is happening," and people get mad at us, like the pro-lifers, when we bring this up, because like, how dare you? Like, that's so good. That doesn't happen. That's gross. Why are you talking like this?
Same with the trans surgeries. It's
Right.
so evil. They
You get-
can't believe it's happening here.
It hardens the heart, and people just go,
Right.
la 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 la, la, I don't want to hear it. And
Yeah.
it's like, again, part of it gets to the point where I think as a pro-life movement, we have to be really sober about the place that we are in our lives, today. Because there's this article in First Things written by a doctor, I think he's from the United Kingdom, where he was just talking about the pro-life movement's getting the butt kicked and what's going on in there. And gosh, Bobby Kennedy Jr. at Health Secretary, this is horrible, blah, 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 blah. And oh my gosh. And I'm just like, look, you need to realize and appreciate something that's going on with the pro-life movement right now. We are a majority of Republicans are pro-life, no question, a strong majority, super majority even, but not all Republicans.
Right.
And when you look at independents and Democrats, almost none of them are pro-life. So we are in no means are pro-lifers a majority of the American people anymore. We might have been able to say that like in 1988. We're like fighting all these things like, well, most people are with us. That's not the case now. We won in Florida, Amendment 4. We stopped that horrific pro-abortion amendment from getting passed. But you know what? It's because it needed a 60% supermajority. 57% of Floridians voted yes for a super pro-abortion amendment. 57%. Florida is not a blue state. It's not even a purple state. It's a red state. And we still, 57%. So if that doesn't sober you up and think, whoa, we have a lot of work to do. And I just think to myself, we have a culture that is so saturated in pornography. I mean, just look at the statistics of how many people watch this kind of stuff. And, we have a lot of work to do. And so what we need to do is actually, if you want to be effective, you need to steal a page from the guys who are actually able to succeed in convincing Americans to change their opinions. Actually, the gay rights movement was very successful in converting hearts and minds to their cause. But they didn't just do it by, like I said before, like attacking Catholics in church and attacking the Eucharist. And no, that did not work. They realized that they needed to try to convince people, no, it's okay. And I think, unfortunately, they were effective because I think what they were promoting was bad.
Mm-hmm.
But we as pro-lifers, as Catholics, we need to sell a vision of the good. Like this is what we want. We want human flourishing. Trans surgeries is going to lead to lifelong misery and peeing in a catheter, as you say, and suicide or just unfun. I mean, what we need to do is say, listen, there's a better way. We need to be pro-baby, have more births, build this culture of life as we slowly try to unwind these culture of death stuff. But it's going to take a long time.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember, like the progressive movement, they took the long road, and we call it the long march through the institutions. They have been at this since the 1930s Frankfurt School arrived here. This has been a long road to where we are now. And the way it works is, the good news here is that there are tactics we can also adopt, not the Marxist ones though, I'd rather avoid those. We'll use the good ones, but that it can be done. You can shift culture, and it's not so much shifting it back as like we want to go back to the 1950s, because I really don't. Wasn't that great? They were produced in the 1960s.
But we have to build.
But we have to build, right? We have to rebuild. And the way that it worked for the progressive movement is they start off with something that sounds pretty vanilla and everyone should agree on. And obviously I don't agree with this, but they would say something like, well, shouldn't gay couples have the same protections and laws as heterosexual couples? And people like who don't know any better, they're just like, yeah, okay, that sounds okay. I can do that. So they do that. And then the next step is they don't stop there. They're like, oh, now I really would like to be able to, read trans books in the library dressed as a female with makeup on. And they're like, oh, wait, what? And they're like, oh, you hate gay people? And you're like, oh, no, I don't hate gay people. But so they
I know
let
we
it
have a lot
happen.
to talk about today.
Yeah.
Tom's going to try to move us along. I would just
I'm
say, I
sorry.
agree with everything Erika's saying. We just need to move, and especially as we have this tax fight coming up, we need to have a very, very pro-family, like supercharged baby tax credit, and let's keep this thing moving.
Well, actually, just to keep it real concise, I highly recommend. I'm looking at this Amazon. It's $145. But there's this book called After the Ball, How America Will Conquer Its Fear and Hatred of Gays in the 90s. This is probably the most concise explanation for how a very small minority of the country, homosexuals, completely and strategically changed public perception and won over institutions to their arguments. So, you know, whether you think about morally any of that, it's kind of besides the point. It's basically the manifesto of how it was done, and it's fascinating. This is like a must read. You can probably find it used for a lot cheaper. I don't recommend paying $145, but this is the best explanation I've seen personally on how they did it. Okay, so moving on to the next section here. So, you know, I made a promise to someone on Twitter. Shout out Carlos. So we're going to talk Tulsi Gabbard here briefly. So Josh's favorite podcaster, other than himself, probably Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley has a podcast on SiriusXM, and she had some thoughts on Tulsi Gabbard. And I think I made a promise we'd watch it. We're going to go through a little bit of it here. Get some thoughts.
Director of National Intelligence. Now, everybody loves that she is now saying she's a Republican. But I have always said, let's look at what they've said, what their actions are. DNI, that is the president's top intelligence advisor. It's supposed to fairly represent the views of 18 separate intelligence agencies and units. It has the authority over $100 billion annual U.S. spy budget. $100 billion U.S. annual spy budget. And it holds sway over which secrets we declassify. That's a big deal. This is a job for an honest broker without any pronounced policy biases.
That's
so hold
picked.
That thought for a second.
That's why she was picked.
Bingo.
What are the facts about Tulsi Gabbard?
Let's get the facts here.
Oh, here we go.
She opposed ending the Iran nuclear deal. She opposed sanctions on Iran. She opposed designating the Iran military as terrorists who say death to America every single day. She said that Donald Trump turned the U.S. into Saudi Arabia's prostitute. This is going to be the future head of our national intelligence. In Congress, Tulsi criticized Trump's authoritarian strike against Qasem Soleimani. Now, I will remind you, he was considered the master of death in Iran. She said he had no justification whatsoever for killing him. She tried to limit Trump's war powers against Iran. She tried to cut our annual defense budget so that we couldn't punish Iran and hinder their influence. Reminder, Iran is our #1 sponsor of terrorism, and Tulsi Gabbard was defending Iran.
That's not true. That's literally it's a freaking lie.
She went to Syria in 2017 for a photo op with Bashar al-Assad while he was massacring his own people. She said she was skeptical that he was behind the chemical weapons attacks. Now, this to me is disgusting because, Cheney, you and I were at the United Nations when Assad...
It is disgusting, but keep talking.
Everything she said...
Unbelievable.
There was a point where she was like, she's a Russian, a Chinese, a Syrian, and an Iranian agent. I was like, how could you possibly be all of those at one point?
I don't think they'd all hire the same person, so that doesn't seem... Can I just say hell hath no fury, like that of a woman scorned? All right, Josh, let her rip.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, because she's upset that she didn't get a cabinet post. You know, she endorsed Trump. And like, again, there were endorsements of Trump during the campaign that made a meaningful difference in delivering him victory. You know, whatever you think about RFK Jr., he delivered votes for Donald Trump. And that's why he got a cabinet post. I get that. Our nomination. Doesn't mean it'll be confirmed, but we'll see.
It better be.
But, you know, this war hawk, I mean, I agreed with like maybe two things that she said. They weren't all falsehoods, but like there's so many lies in this. And it's just disgusting. She would have wanted war with Syria so that we could have disposed that leader and allow the crazy psycho terrorists to come up. I mean, we did that with Iraq. How did that go? We did that with Libya. How did that go?
It's like our favorite thing in the world.
How did that go?
Our favorite thing in the world is just doing color revolutions across the world to displace dictators we don't like and then to prop up dictators that we do like. It's insane. It's the playbook for the last 20
like
years.
Ukraine, like, hello. I mean,
Exactly.
all these things.
The most
It's like,
corrupt country in Europe previous to this point. Obviously, everyone knew, and no one could point it out on a map. And all of a sudden, we're in charge of who's going to be president there. It's insane.
Yeah, and so obviously she's just, beating the war drums. She wants war. Again, it's just so reprehensible, and it's because she's out there. I'm sure she's getting money from all these contractors.
She's on the board of Boeing.
Yeah. So again, it's not like, I wish we could go back to this point where the generals themselves would actually be involved. Put their own lives on the line. Like George Washington was crossing the frickin' Delaware in the boat. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was there. But now she's never going to be in a war zone. Are you kidding me? She's not putting her life at risk, but she wants to put your sons at risk.
Yeah, no question. I mean, so I had a few things on this because whether you like it or not, this is the prevailing criticism against Tulsi Gabbard. And as someone who didn't know Tulsi Gabbard super well until I think I actually listened to her on the Joe Rogan Experience and got a little bit more about her life experience. First off, I mean, she's served in the military for 20 plus years. So you can say that, and you can't say that about Nikki Haley.
She can actually fire a rifle.
Right. Some of the videos I've seen of her are pretty impressive.
She's definitely a straight shooter.
Straight shooter, no question. But so specifically one of the things that she was saying is like a photo op with someone in Syria or Syria. I was like, how legitimate is that claim? Like, I remember the Syria stuff. Obviously, I was a lot younger, but I went back and found an old interview that Tulsi did from 7 years ago. This was right after she made this visit to Syria. I'm not going to play it again in the interest of time, but she was doing it with Jake Tapper, who's a familiar name. And basically he was like, how do you feel about, so she just went on the secret visit. They recorded it all. And she said, how do you feel about platforming this guy who's using chemical weapons against his own people? And she said, well, basically, I went and what did I learn? I learned that the United States was funding quote unquote neutral rebel groups, which not a thing. And all that money was going towards terrorist groups that were oppressing the Syrian people. And she learned that because she went there and she talked to the people. And then there was an opportunity she wasn't even aware of to talk with the leader. And she said, I went and talked to him because I want peace here. I don't want war. I don't want to have to start anything we don't have to start. And whether we like it or not, he's the leader of Syria. And I even that statement sticks out to me. Whether we like it or not, he's the leader of Syria. I think that, and I think she still holds this view today. The United States lectures up and down about how we respect democracy abroad. We respect national sovereignty, the rights of people to govern themselves, which is the most two-faced lie of all time, and everyone knows it. And I honestly, I look at some of these countries in the Middle East, and I see why they hate America. And that really makes me sad because I think that America as this, global police, warmongering machine has really uprooted and ruined the lives of so many people. And in a way that was completely unnecessary. And maybe we thought it was right at the time, but the history has spoken, has not brought great returns to either stability in those regions or even our own country. Think about all our wounded soldiers and things like that. So the humility to just say, this is the leader. Actually, I was watching the vice president debate again with J.D. Vance. He said, diplomacy is not a dirty word. You don't always get it right, of course, but that's the same. Why do we want Trump talking to Kim Jong-un and not Kamala Harris, who couldn't handle one hostile interview? Because it's not easy.
100%.
None of this is easy, and no one wants war. The fact that Trump's saying he doesn't want war in Iran is strikingly different than even this quick podcast clip with Nikki Haley, who you can just feel in her tone. She wants to bomb the hell out of Iran.
Right, and here's the thing with these, with the Nikki Haley neocons, okay? What they think of, the most insidious evil thing they do is like, there's this evil person overseas in this country, and he's doing terrible things. Therefore, we need to kill him and take him out and go to war with him. Okay, maybe. And if you're like, I thought about what you said, and I don't want to do it. You're an apologist for this evil person.
Yes,
no,
100%.
go pound sand. Screw you. I'm not going to commit my boys to fight in a war overseas just to bloodlust serve your bank account. Screw you, Nikki Haley.
And to call you a traitor.
Yes,
you're
absolutely.
the traitor now because you don't want to do it.
It makes me so furious. I absolutely hate it. And if Nikki Haley told me that the sky was blue, I would go outside to double check. I don't trust anything that comes out of her mouth.
Yeah. I mean,
Despicable human being.
the most reasoned take I saw on this, and I think I agree with this broadly. I view this differently. Often the president turns his intelligence leadership to engage with regimes with which we do not have diplomatic relations. See recent engagements with the Democratic Republic of or DPRK. What is that?
That's
North Korea?
North Korea, yeah.
Yeah, okay, North Korea, Russia, and China. The fact that Tulsi is adept at engaging and building rapport with our adversaries is a part of the job she's been nominated to do. These back-channel relationships literally allow us to lessen the likelihood of miscalculation and avoid war.
Preach.
So that's why I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like if you go to Russia-Ukraine situation right now, if Biden had been able, which I don't think he's capable of, but if he had been able to actually cultivate a relationship with Putin and a relationship with Zelensky, we could be in a very different situation than what we're looking at right now over there.
Totally.
And that doesn't mean, but instead he chose this rhetoric of like Putin, most evil, never talk to him, pull everyone out. And we have no communication.
And give Ukraine
about
all the money. We got your back, but we don't
and
have
our
funds.
missiles and
Yeah.
shoot them into Russia.
You
So
know,
it's absolute disaster foreign policy with
But
Biden.
not only that, though, like, do we as a country, should we uphold our promises? You know, like the
Right.
whole Ukraine thing. I mean, I think, Tom, you sent over that video, but it's true. Like, we had made this promise. Like there's a concern, like, well, shouldn't you know, at the fall of this, the Cold War, the Berlin Wall goes down. Should Ukraine have nuclear weapons? Like, you know, no. Russia can have them, but not all these satellite countries. This would be a problem. And then Russia's like, okay, we'll do just, you know, like, don't go east with NATO. Stick with where you're at. And they just go, a few years later, pick up the Baltic countries, and then they keep going, and they add the Central European countries, and then all of a sudden, people were talking about putting Ukraine in NATO. My God, I would rather get rid of NATO than add Ukraine. Are you serious?
I think
That's
there's
a
tons
good
of
idea.
arguments. No, I think there's tons of arguments actually to disband NATO. Its purpose has served its point. There's no more use for it. It was a World War II era thing. Cold War.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to send my sons to
That's
die
a long
for Turkey.
conversation.
Give me a break.
That's a very, very long
Screw 'em.
conversation. But yeah, I think that America, especially telling you, Trump just changed so much for me personally when he said we should not have been in Iraq. I don't want to be in these forever wars. We need to get out of Afghanistan. He was one of the first Republicans I'd ever heard
Oh
say
my gosh,
that. Completely changed everything.
He did change a lot of people's minds, and he was the one that was saying, he woke people up and said the emperor's wearing no clothes. I mean, the thing is, we care most, obviously, I think, us on the call and so many of the listeners, about the pro-life movement. The pro-life movement has never been, like I said, a vast majority of the American people. We've always had to, like every movement in politics, form coalitions and work together.
Mm-hmm.
And the pro-life movement for the first 30, 40 years had to work together with like libertarians, you know, that were fighting against communism and the Soviet Union, all that kind of stuff. And we had to work together with defense hawks.
Mm-hmm.
And now Donald Trump has actually, I think, done a favor to the pro-life movement, realigned things. Now we get to work together with, you know, people who are cautious about foreign intervention in wars. I like that.
Yep.
And work together with working class blue collar voters, a multiracial blue collar party. Like, that is so much better of a place. Then we can actually, in the tax code, talk about, you know, hey, Hungary, some of these other countries have done these things to make it more affordable for families. Like, let's do some of that stuff. That is a much better opportunity moving forward to build our coalition and to try to change the laws and foster a culture of life. I think it's a wonderful opportunity.
100%. And you would think that from what you just described, our lefty Catholic friends would be pumped, because haven't they been preaching to us for decades about
get
the
rid of
seamless
Romney
garment?
economics.
And
right?
like,
So we did.
exactly, we're doing what you asked, lefty
Get rid of
Catholics.
George Bush, Cheney, neocon stuff. We did.
So I'm
Come on, the
excited to
water's
know
warm. Where are they?
The
The water's
National
Nowhere
Catholic-
to be found.
National
They're too busy
Catholic
promoting the
reporter.
rainbow stuff.
National Catholic Reporter will be endorsing J.D. Vance in 2028. I'm pretty
Shouldn't they?
pumped. Shouldn't they?
Oh,
That's
man.
what they've been asking for.
Dude, what an experience reading the Hillbilly Elegy and then going to the acknowledgments, and like people were slobbering over him, like New York Times,
Yeah.
Vogue, all of the major publications, like, this is the greatest thing ever written.
Until he
And then
started winning.
all the
They
same
didn't
people
like
attacking
that.
him when he became vice president. Interesting. Okay, so I got a couple quick hitters before we get to the mailbag.
Ooh.
One of them, and I just this comes as somewhat of a personal note because
Yeah, actually, I just 2 seconds on that, what you just said.
Yeah.
The reason why the mainstream media loved his book is like, oh, you want redneck hillbillies to be considered a minority too, we're okay with that.
Totally.
But then once we're like, actually, why can't we just change things around so we don't have such miserable policies? Like, what?
Ooh, we have
Then
to
it was a
change
threat.
stuff. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so quickly, there was I don't know if it was leaked or it's out here now, but so Daniel Penny, his trial's going on right now. And the Free Press got a hold of this. I can't remember if it was leaked or this is public.
I'm sure it was leaked.
It's obtained footage. Basically,
It was shown in court this week. So
right. So it's the interrogation, quote unquote, interview footage right after Daniel Penny's encounter with Jordan Neely on the train. And I think this is just a good opportunity. As someone, I conceal carry often. I have my concealed carry license here in Indiana. And I'm a big encourager of common sense, normal people to learn and appreciate their Second Amendment rights and be proficient with a firearm. I think it just makes our country safer. So as that, this has been burned into me. But I want people to know. So we're looking at this interrogation footage, and he sits down in the police interview room, and two guys come in. And for the interest of time, I'm not going to play it. It's a little bit long. It's 8 minutes. And the first thing they do is they say, "Oh, you're a Marine, former Marine. I was a former Marine too. I was in this unit," kind of building rapport, chopping it up, and then quickly go into, after establishing this rapport, reading him his Miranda rights. So people get the wrong perception about the Fifth Amendment, that it's only used because people are guilty. There's a great video. I'm going to put it in the description. There's a video called "Do Not Talk to the Police." And I want to preface this by saying I have law enforcement in my family. I have nothing but respect for them. Their job is incredibly difficult and valuable to society. I want people to know, though, anytime you're in a situation like this, you do not talk to the police until you get your lawyer. And Daniel Penny made the mistake here of saying, "Sure, I'll answer any of your questions." And very quickly, these two police officers doing their job start interrogating him, asking him questions like, "Did you do a rear naked choke? What was your intent?" All of these kind of things. The problem with doing this, and this video that I have, "Do Not Talk to the Police," explains it well, is in no way does talking to the police ever help your case in court. Because what happened, I guarantee what happened in this courtroom, in a, quote, court of his peers in the most liberal part of the country, Manhattan, the prosecutor is going to take parts of this interview, take it out of context, put it up on a big screen in big bold letters, and use parts completely out of context to try to put this guy in jail. When in reality, we all saw the videos. We even saw, if you watch this interview, it's pretty clear he's innocent. If anything, you should be getting a medal, but he's not. So I just want to give a warning here to everyone here in the chat. And again, respect to my police officers here. You do not talk to the police until you get a lawyer. Either your lawyer that you're contacting or you have one provided for you. There's no reason to do this interview, especially after an adrenaline-infused event where you might not even be saying intentionally lying about something, but because you're so hopped up on adrenaline, you're going to say something wrong, maybe even slightly wrong, and people are going to use that. Prosecutor will use that to try to prove you as a liar. So watching this was like watching like a horror movie in slow motion, because I could even just see the wheels turning of a prosecutor of like, this is how I'm going to use this. This is how I'm going to use this. It's not good or bad. It's just how the justice system is set up to work. And I want everyone to understand that this is how it works. So I just, my heart broke when I watched this video.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. And you could see Daniel, as you watch it progress, you can see Daniel Penny, because they did not tell him that Jordan Neely had died at that point. And so he's sitting there completely ignorant. He's feeling like, okay, I did the right thing. That was disturbing. I'm just going to cooperate. And they'll say, well, he cooperated with the police. No. And you can see the wheels just turning in his head. Like, this is getting weird. Why are they, what? Whoa. And
again, I understand police officers,
be aware.
They have a general disposition of dealing with horrible criminal people all the time. Now, some of the people they think are criminals end up not being criminals, but they're going to have sort of a natural way of trying to extract information to try to build their case. And that it's the system.
That's their job. Yep, that's their job too.
I'm not against that. I mean, look, I get it, but like, yeah, dude, federales show up at your door or police come to talk to you about this, go, lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I'd like to speak to my lawyer. And it's your right. The constant, it's literally from the Constitution. It gave you that right. That's how our justice system's set up. the video I sent is called "Do Not Talk to the Police." It's an attorney, old video from like over 10 years ago, I think. It was an attorney explaining why and all the exact reasoning. And then it was actually a cop who's studying to become a lawyer, who was a cop for 20, 30 years, something like that, explaining basically how everything the lawyer said is right. The way to think about it is if you go into these interviews, it's like going up against an Olympic boxer for $100. Like, first off, the reward is nothing. And these people literally do this for their job. And I got a lot of respect for them. They got to talk to a lot of criminals. And he's like, human nature is to comply because most people want to be cooperative by nature. And then also people are a lot dumber than they think, especially criminals. But you're not as smart as you think. There's no upside. There's only downside. So yeah, pray for.
Well, you
pray
just
for
want to feel like
Danny
I did nothing wrong. Here's what happened. Like, you want to try to rationalize and explain things and just hope that they would understand. But you're not in the persuasion business right now. You need to protect your six. You need to protect your.
Yeah, no doubt. And I even said too to like the reason I feel so strongly about this and send it out there is like, even if my wife, like he gave the example of and the IRS calling you up and saying, hey, you're not in trouble, but I have some questions for you. The answer is speak to my lawyer. Yeah, it's like you are not. I'm not going to tell you anything.
Right.
You don't have. If you had legitimate like warrant and everything to come talk to me, you'd show it. You don't. You're trying to build a case here. So,
dude, I'm that guy who I walk out of Walmart and the guy says, "Can I see what's in your bag?" I'm sorry. I'll be like, "Am I being detained?"
Yeah, right.
Because if I'm not, he goes, "No, I'm out, dude. I paid for this crap. I don't need this garbage. I got stuff to do."
Dude, shout out Atticus in the chat.
If they want to detain me, then that's fine. Like, if you're going to accuse me of shoplifting, that's one thing, but no.
Atticus in the chat said, I'm about to be 58, thinking of challenging Jake Paul. Take one for the Gipper and add a cool 20 mil to my retirement.
Brilliant.
I hope that's his real name too. I don't want to. If it's not his real name, I don't want to know.
All right. Atticus. So before we get to the next questions, I have two for you, Josh. One, will the Loopcast be watching Gladiator? Do you have high hopes for it?
Okay, so my daughter's in college and she's flying home for Thanksgiving next week, and she's like, "Can we watch Gladiator 2?" I'm like, "Of course."
Yeah. Yes, we were watching Gladiator 2. I'm so excited.
I don't have high hopes.
I mean, I have no expectations. My bar is so low for that movie that I feel like anything will. It's really just to go
I'm
and
with
then
Erika. My expectations are low, and if it's great, then good. But Denzel does provide some hope.
But Denzel apparently in an interview was like, "Hey, I kissed a guy in the movie, and they cut it out. America wasn't ready for it." So I'm like,
America wasn't ready for it. Yeah.
Well, a lot of things happen in the Greco-Roman era. Are a little
dude, but I could go on a tirade about how we should know so much less about the worst thing to ever happen to Hollywood was social media. I want to know nothing about actors. Like there's no mystery anymore.
Stuff is the worst.
Shut up and sing.
Right. Like exactly. Like it just ruins the mystique. Like I don't want to hear about you almost kissing a dude and you're getting cut out. Like I want to watch Gladiator and see if it's good at its own merits.
No kidding.
And then my second question, especially for Josh, because you most likely were a theater kid, will you be watching Wicked? Do you know what it is?
I only heard about it because these idiots that put the toys together put the website for a pornographic website.
Oh, yeah, that was
instead
tough.
of their own. Yeah, like, no, it should be wickedmovie.com, you idiots. So, some people are saying that was intentional, I don't, because they're so demonically evil. Giggle as they put the wrong.
Are you dodging the question? Are you not going to go see the musical production Wicked in theaters?
Let me think about what musicals I've ever seen. In general. I find musicals loathsome. I hate them with the passion of 1,000 suns. And I have to say,
The Passion of 1,000 Suns, dude. That was pretty theatrical. That sounded like you were delivering a monologue.
I was in 5th grade, and my music teacher, made us watch West Side Story. And I'm not lying to you.
5th grade boys did not watch that.
Day. Every day, I complained so much.
When
He
you're
finally
10,
just sent me to
I'm
the
with
office.
Josh.
I'm like, great. I got sent to the principal's office. I don't have to watch this garbage. I hated it so bad.
Dude, your wife is roasting you in the chat right now.
I know.
The thing is, I can think of like what musicals I actually like. The only one I can think of is
Les Mis.
That's all right. It's good.
I love Les Mis.
All right.
I don't like musicals though. Like the whole point of a musical is instead of like acting, they're like, let's just sing every damn thing. And I'm like, this is just like when I grew up in my house, and my younger sister, she would sing about everything in the world. And then I watched a musical.
This is
I'm
getting
like, oh my gosh,
Freudian.
I'm listening to Hannah all the time. I'm gonna poke my ears out.
Erika, but this is why I asked the question, right? I actually in pre-meeting
Josh
was
is
like, I
like-
cannot wait to ask
Josh
Josh
is
about
like,
Wicked.
musicals are the New Haven pizza of the fine arts world. That's what Josh is
I
like
can't
right
even do
now.
that because I actually consider New Haven pizza that I can't even. Musicals are wretched. Although I do like one that I can think of.
What's that?
Fiddler on the Roof.
The Fiddler.
And incidentally, my mom loves it too, and we love it for the exact opposite reasons. She's like, "Oh, he finally begrudgingly allows the first kid to like not marry a Jew, and then the next one to, and then and like progressively." I'm like, I'm actually hating
Josh,
this. Like, this is
I'm
like
gonna
the
have
worst thing in the world. Like, oh my god!
I'm gonna have to put you on mute real quick, Erika.
Yeah.
Will you be watching? Do you like Wicked?
No. So
No.
I'm not like 100% against the musical genre, but I
Okay.
do think that 90% of the American musical industry is just nihilistic garbage intended to brainwash us into thinking. So like in Wicked is, so like Defying Gravity is the song that like defines the musical, Defying Gravity, and it's like,
Wait, what is that? What's it from?
it's from Wicked. That's like the end of
Witch,
Act 1.
right?
I think.
I don't even.
Yeah. The Green Witch sings it about how she's like defying gravity, and like it's just like Frozen. It's like I'm no right, no wrong, no rules for me. I'm free. Like this is the morality of the toddler room, and so I don't need to rub my kids' heads in that.
All right.
But anyway, I don't need to
So-
rap. I don't need to do that. I do like
round it
some
out.
musicals. We're rounding it out.
I'll round it
Gladiator,
out here.
yes.
I like.
Wicked, no.
Surprise, surprise. I like some musicals. I think Les
Once
Mis
in a while.
is basically a transformational experience if you see it live on. I got to see it live with a traveling Broadway crew, and
good.
the talent was
You
just
saw what live?
Les Mis.
Les Mis.
Oh,
The
Really
talent was
good.
unbelievable. The moral, the story is incredible. I like the movie too. I actually haven't read the book. Someone in the Kate in the chat gets it. She said the book's good. I haven't read the book. But it's a Catholic story. I mean, it's beyond Catholic because Catholic is universal. It is a universal story. I liked West Side Story. My mom actually
how?
So my mom was a music major. She would perform and stuff like this, and she made sure to make that a part of my education. So we would go and see some musicals, and I was aware. High School Musical obviously dominated our household because my brother loved it. But okay, now let me stop. I'm not going to see
We got
Wicked.
opinions in the chat.
We got
man.
there. We go. Actually, what about Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat's a banger too?
I really like that one.
Thank you. That's fun. I'll admit it. It's fun.
I think it's really fun.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Never
can sing the whole
watched any
thing.
of
Do you want me to
these
start?
garbage.
I could sing the whole thing.
No, please do not.
Because-
I'll tell you
Josh,
this.
Guys and
stop.
dolls.
Josh, you
are
said
funny.
enough.
I have
Josh,
one more
you
thing.
have like a 3-minute rant
Yeah,
on
Josh,
that.
come on, dog.
One more thing. I do believe
One more
one of the things that
thing.
make me a better
day
person
more?
and think about sinning less and
Yeah.
offending our Lord less is I think if I ever had to spend an eternity in hell, it's watch a West Side Story.
Phantom of the Opera, a banger too.
There
Okay.
are some good ones.
Now let me paint Josh's
I
version of
think
hell,
we
and this is
need
why. This is why
a
I'm not
snake
gonna go.
draft.
I'm not gonna go see Wicked because imagine going to the theater and having to sit with theater kids that didn't get the first part in their high school's production, probably with the understudy, who are probably singing every song in the theater during the movie.
Sing along as I know. Whoa.
Oh
I
my
went dark.
gosh.
That I think is Josh's version of hell.
Yeah, literally.
So yeah, that's what I'm gonna end on Wicked. But
Dive off a cliff.
if I can, so the reason I bring up theater kids, and again, no problem with theater kids. Like I was in band, we did stuff for the theater kids, whatever. I would
I
like
was
to
theater
present to
kid.
you
Theater
the
is, I mean,
Josh.
we just
I know you hate
we
these
can
kids.
Still talk.
No,
But
I
want-
got stuff to show.
No,
Okay.
Cats.
theater
Josh
is
has to
different than
watch Cats.
musicals. There's a lot more theater than just musicals. There's lots of plays. I go into plays is fine.
All right, but I would like to present the reason I led to all of this is I watched the best theater kid non-apology of all time, I think.
Oh.
And I'd like to share it here with the audience. This is Rachel Ziegler. She actually was in a production of what's it called? West Side Story. She was the lead female West Side Story. The reason she's apologizing is because I believe she wished death on Trump supporters.
Yep.
And so apology, kind of probably too strong a word, but I just could not stop laughing at the non-apology here. Here we go.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them,
Drama kid.
Oh my gosh.
that at every premiere and everything I do,
This girl.
people will wait in line to see.
All right, so if anyone ever wants me to apologize for anything we do in the LOOPcast, I'm going to compare myself to a piece of art at the Louvre.
The Venus de Milo.
Yeah, and then
Each
say
note.
that people are still going to line up to watch. I mean, can you get over? She wished death on Trump support. You could have just said, sorry, I was a little emotional. Shouldn't have said that. No, I'm a piece of art at the Louvre, and I'm cracked. But I'm beautiful anyway, and you're going to line up to see me. Just
I
the
wish I could
greatest
just
apology
like
ever.
take her and sit her down for coffee because she just needs some like dose of reality going on.
Hug? Like someone...
A hug. I'm
Yeah,
not
Erika,
a
you
huggy.
should-
I'm not. No, I'm more like, let me buy you coffee.
Anyway,
You should
I
take
want to
it,
give a
man.
shout out to Marcus in the chat with great observation saying return to tradition. Ballets are better than musicals anyway. So like
Yes.
the
And
Nutcracker.
someone else put in Gilbert and Sullivan. Yep. Gilbert and Sullivan. So funny.
But I mean,
So
like just because you hate musicals, especially how as they have adapted over the last 100 years, because they're mostly wretched and make you want to vomit. Just because you don't like that doesn't mean you don't like theater.
Right.
Okay.
I don't really like theater either, though.
Let's be real. Let's be
All right.
real.
So I'm going to read one thing before we get to the Twilight Zone. I know we're on a little bit of a time crunch today, but I thought this was hilarious.
Just doing
So
that whole thing.
we mentioned black and tans. So we mentioned Guinness. Do not order a Irish car bomb. We've been checked by an Irish lass. So I'd like to read here. Dear Tom, Erika, and Josh, been listening to your show since midsummer, and now I'm completely hooked. It's so refreshing to hear your takes on everything from a faithful Catholic perspective. I moved to the States from Ireland back in 2004 and typically have gotten my news and commentary from conservative talk radio and Fox, but your podcast is my favorite by far. You have given me the courage to speak out more publicly about what I believe in now red Pennsylvania. Thank you. My husband, okay, let's get on to now on Monday's podcast. I was happy to hear Erika's a big fan of Guinness for breastfeeding, and I'm very glad Tom brought up the point about not asking for an Irish car bomb in Ireland. I couldn't believe when I moved to the U.S. that anyone would be insensitive enough to come up with such a thing. It is kind of crazy. However, it's insane. However, let's see. Then I heard the term
chat's favorite drink.
Then I heard the term black and tan, and I was even more appalled. This is where I need to correct Tom on his history. The black and tans were a fairly vicious group of British police who were recruited to reinforce the Royal Irish Constabulary during the Irish War of Independence from Britain in the early 1920s. They had a reputation for brutality against the Irish, including murder, arson, and horrific reprisal acts, mostly in the south and west of the country. Their name came from the mismatched police army uniforms they wore, as there weren't enough police uniforms for the huge influx of recruits.
Okay.
Ugh.
1 second, Josh. Similarly to the barbaric behavior of some of the British troops during the U.S. War of Independence, see The Patriot, the behavior of the black and tans alienated public opinion, led to an increase in Irish support for the Irish Republican Army and gaining independence. There's lots more to this, of course, and I'm no historian, but I thought you might appreciate the real history behind this term and why you should also never ask for a black and tan in the pub when you're visiting my wonderful homeland.
Okay.
Point
well,
taken.
whatever. I
Travel
mean,
tips.
I mean,
Come on.
the name. I
How
mean,
about Jilly?
the color. You're literally combining a drink that's black and a drink that's tan. Black and tan. Did the first person who came up with this idea of calling it a black and tan in the United States do it as like an homage to this group, or is it just like
Fiery.
hello black and tan drink? I mean,
I don't know, but I thought it was cool, so I read it. I didn't know about that.
a
Erika
cool
did because
little
she's a
history
historian.
I mean, don't
You know,
order that
I-
drink because Guinness tastes horrible.
Oh, also, Jilly specifically asked that Erika do more Donald Trump impersonations. So,
I am excited for the next 4 years. I will hone my craft, Jilly.
yeah, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. All right, we go to the Twilight Zone. Erika, you are up
Ooh,
first.
I'm up first. All right. Where am I going here? I have to scroll. We had so many notes today. I'm scrolling. Okay. Well, speaking of beer, I can't decide which one to do. All right. Speaking of beer, Bud Light of
yeah.
Dylan Mulvaney fame is trying to turn it around. They're like, maybe we went a bridge too far with Dylan. We're just going to turn it around and get Sean Gillis to do an ad for us. We can just watch this. It's Friday.
Shane Gillis, but yeah. it's
Shane
solid.
Gillis. Sorry. There I go.
Very funny.
It is not just a fragrance. It is a feeling.
You got it.
It is a passion.
What? Oh, where'd you just think?
We are all lost,
Yeah, I'm lost. I'm 100% lost here.
but we are on the edge.
Hey, all right. This is pocket force, eh? That's yeah. Hey, I think I'm in the wrong commercial.
What?
Yeah, dude, this isn't right.
Wait, aren't you Andre?
No, I'm Shane.
Huh.
He's just drinking a Bud Light.
Oh, I see what's going on. You're supposed to be in a Bud Light commercial.
Oh, I'm supposed to be in a Bud Light. I'm supposed to be in a Bud Light commercial
Yeah.
down here, so that's why. I'm the odd one out down here.
Well, if you're here, Andre is.
He's at a
Yeah,
bar,
it's
they're all
fun,
watching
man.
football, and he's loving it. It was great. I liked this. I'm still not gonna buy Bud Light because that's gonna take years of healing for my soul after the Dylan Mulvaney incident. But it's
Right.
nice to see that they are, well, bowing to the reality that their customer base is not woke and does not like dudes who cosplay as women. So good try,
should we
Bud
do what
Light.
the
Keep
left
it
does?
coming.
What do you mean? What does the left do?
Make them grovel and grovel and grovel
Yeah,
for
I
years and
think
years
so.
first, and then maybe they should make some donations to
And Bud Light's gross. So
Terry Schilling's group,
no. Yeah,
first.
maybe a donation to American Principles Project would go a long way towards this. But Shane Gillis is a step in the right direction.
So if we're on the advertising front, I have a must share ad
Go for it.
for y'all.
Yeah.
So I don't cry often, but yesterday morning I saw an advertisement. Imagine that that brought me to tears. And so this comes directly after Jaguar's bizarre rebrand that we covered on here. This is actually an ad campaign. This commercial actually came out in September, but it's kind of been re-brought up as the antidote to whatever the heck Jaguar threw out. So it broke a lot of conventional wisdom. It was actually done by the cinematographer of Interstellar and Oppenheimer. It's 3 minutes and 45 seconds. I think I'll play a little bit of it because it's worth playing, no doubt. And it's one of the most unbelievable commercials I've seen in a long time. I'm having a little girl in February, so keep that in mind.
Congrats.
If you think I'm soft, thank you.
Congratulations.
Wrong
Greta.
one. Here we go.
Hey.
Hey. You okay?
Yeah. Well.
Hey, love.
Hey, Mom.
How are you guys? How you doing?
Yeah, we're good.
Something wrong?
No, but we've actually got something to tell you. Kate's pregnant.
Oh, I'm joking.
You're gonna be a grandma.
Oh my god. How does it feel?
I'm scared, Mom.
All right, I'm crying.
About it all, the nights, the responsibility. Like, we're gonna need a bigger place.
Help with all that.
I know, bless you, you're so sweet. I've got this feeling that we're gonna have a daughter. Just as stubborn as her mum.
Well, hopefully not. The family's large.
Now that's a legacy she might have to live with. She might be the reason we tied a knot.
What if I don't do good in class?
I just want to say and do the right things, I want to see the world with her. I'll also be happy staying home, doing nothing, letting her be a kid.
Are you awake?
Number 32.
Thank you.
I want to see her fall in love. But I also know what that means. And I know she's gonna bend the rules just like I did. And one day, I'll have to let her go.
I think it's gonna be hot every single day.
I'm excited to hear what she learns about the world, herself, what she adores, what she hates. socialise them in, give her?
Have you thought of any?
It all depends. We like Leia.
Is that where she dies?
Oh my gosh.
Josh.
Mercer.
No, this is a good commercial. It's a good commercial. I love it.
Oh my goodness.
And there you go.
Emotional manipulation. I'm like lost. Yeah.
That's good.
Oh, so good. Now, someone on staff goes, okay, I'm going out now to buy a Volvo and make a baby. They're married. Don't worry. It's all good.
I mean, you can wait 9 months to buy the Volvo, I suppose.
That's right.
So yeah, for quick audio listeners, I mean, you got to hop over to YouTube for this one, but it's about them finding out that they're having a little girl, and then the mom went out to go get coffee right after that announcement, and a Volvo, basically the braking system, stopped her from getting hit, so that they would have never had this baby girl, this beautiful experience. And
So
I think
pro-life.
Brian Birch put something in chat is like, at heart, everyone is pro-life. And I think about
Deep
why
on its side, yeah.
why do we make cars? You know, why, like I watched the Jaguar commercial, I watched this commercial, and of course the feeling I'm left with is completely different. And why do we make cars? Like we make cars for our families. Like we make them to be able to take them places, to be able to share experiences together. And especially as my family grows, watching something like this, it reaffirms that advertising and creativity and ingenuity, it's all still possible. You know, to see that Jaguar commercial and just feel really like let down and confused and whatever, but then seeing something that almost brings me to tears. It's like, it was just a cool experience for me of like, there's still inspirational. Like there's still so much more we can do. And I think back to Josh, you were talking about having to change culture on the pro-life cause earlier this episode. And J.D. Vance speaks about it as winning back the trust of the American people. Telling stories like this that speak to everyone universally and having this be kind of the
that reaches people.
And the new form of communicating basically these type of stories. Just think about what this kind of inspiration could do for the world. Someone even point out, it was a small point, but they said in the commercial, this might make me tie the knot. And they're like, oh, that was their nitpick of this. And actually I'd flip that and say, what's more pro-life than finding out about this, and instead of your first thought being, oh, well, we're going to have an abortion, it's going to be, this is going to make us a family. We're going to get married and we're going to take care of our children and we're going to enjoy this beautiful experience because, of course, life is messy and things happen. Like this, the quick response of shutting that down would be wrong. The right response is this advertisement of, look at all the beauty ahead of you. That almost was taken away, but the beauty's ahead of you.
I always really bristled at pro-lifers and Catholics or whatever, when someone is not perfect and they're moving towards a better thing, to nitpick that they weren't perfect to begin with. Like, dude, have you never read the Gospels? Shut up. My gosh.
Yeah.
Like, welcome them. Yes, come on. Yes, they're going the right direction. This is good.
So happy to share that with everyone.
Okay, so obviously this is wonderful. Good ad, speaks to human emotions and talks about everything. I wanted to bring up my Twilight Zone after Erika because it was also beer. And now I got to go out after this. What a joke, Tom, you sandbagger.
We set you up to
hey, that's a punishment for your very musical takes, but go ahead.
I mean, the musical my take was right. What are you talking about? Anyway, so New York Times, after selling us on this fake meat baloney, now they want to sell us on beer made from sewage. I think this can't be possibly true, but when they're taking recycling to a whole nother level. I mean, what in the world is going on with this stuff?
Oh my gosh.
A new Pilsner from Singapore, where fresh water is scarce, is making an effort to promote recycling solutions. Yeah, that's gonna be a hard pass for me on this one, brah. I don't care if the beer is free if it's made from recycled toilet water. No,
Oh
thank
my
you.
gosh.
So
you
you're
can't boil that enough.
so you can
Enough
you
beer
can
that
eat
tastes
your
like, you know what? Anyway, I don't need to actually have it come from the
Josh. You
septic
can
system.
eat your fake meat hamburger and wash it down with some sewage beer.
The Impossible Burger with sewage beer.
Right.
Kill me now.
And then go back to your home that you don't own, and then maybe some bugs for dessert.
You'll
or
own
something.
nothing and be happy. Yeah, bugs and sewer beer and fake meat.
The people who drink this stuff, they're the ones driving the Jaguars next year. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. Great point, Erika.
The environmentalists are the true enemies of human freedom and flourishing. Just remember that.
All right. Well, this is a fun one, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Man, yeah. Sorry, I'm so.
We covered a lot.
Covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, I
today.
know. A little choked up here.
So yeah, if you want to help us out, go ahead and subscribe here on YouTube or wherever you're at. Leave us some reviews if it makes you run faster. Tell us on Apple Podcasts, or if it makes you cry, really, because dang, that ad still got me in my feels. But yeah, thank you so much.
In the chat, enough already. It's an ad. Move on.
Wait, is this your burner account? Josh's Kathleen in the chat is just Josh's burner account. But yeah, thank you for joining us today, guys. Appreciate you so much. We end in prayer. Pray for us. St. Thomas More, Our Lady of Guadalupe, St. Fidelis.